Good morning, everyone. I'm Delane Matthews.
And I'm Brian Andrews. Let's begin things in the Weather Center with Jackie Johnson on today's forecast. Jackie? Big story at 7 o'clock this morning. President Bush to make his case tonight against Saddam Hussein.
This just a day after the UN weapons inspectors delivered their progress report saying there is no smoking gun found in Iraq and making the case for more time to do their jobs. No doubt, with so much at stake, the entire world will be watching the president's annual State of the Union address tonight. But
will the president's argument for war be a hard sell? Live to Capitol Hill now, and Skip Lozier. Meantime, what impact will the President's State of the Union address have on the markets? A major sell-off indicating investor concerns over the growing likelihood we could have war with Iraq. Are we looking at another down day? Jane King, she's on the New York Stock Exchange this morning for us. Jane, what's it going to look like today? Also making news right now, Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon in position to win re-election. Polls suggesting an easy victory. It is decision day in Israel, but with political turmoil and unrest in that region, the Prime Minister might not have time to savor his victory. Israeli officials have closed off the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Security has been beefed up at different checkpoints. Sharon casting his vote in Tel Aviv and delivering this message to the people of Israel.
Today is a day of democracy.
Meanwhile, in Gaza, 3 Palestinians were killed in a huge explosion. The explosion happening just hours before the polls opened. Israeli investigators say the militants were inside a house making bombs and that the bombs went off prematurely. 10 minutes after 7 o'clock, families of Cubans sent back to their country after a failed smuggling attempt are accusing the Coast Guard of excessive force. Relatives protesting outside Miami's federal courthouse yesterday. They claim Coast Guard crews rammed the smuggler's boat, causing it to flip near Sugarloaf Key. They say the Coast Guard has it on videotape, and they want that tape released.
So they can investigate what?
It's a recipe for disaster.
The Coast Guard will consult Washington before releasing the tape. 28 of the 30 Cubans intercepted at sea were repatriated to Cuba this weekend. The 2 alleged smugglers are in federal custody in Miami. The U.S. Attorney's Office filing smuggling charges against 2 South Florida men in what was called a near reverse Elian case. Both men accused of trying to smuggle 6 Cubans to South Florida, hidden below the deck of their boat. When it ran out of gas and was towed to the U.S. Coast Guard station, 5 of the Cubans took off running, making it onto the base. A 14-year-old boy did not make it off the boat with the others, but was later allowed to stay in the country with the rest of the group. And as we continue this morning from the 7 Newsplex, a teenager thrown from his Jeep in a wild wreck. But that was just the beginning of this teen's problems. We'll explain.
A huge explosion. Safety.
We have a developing story out of Coral Springs at this hour. 7 Skyforce is above a situation where a van has gone into a canal southbound on the Sawgrass Expressway in between Atlantic and Sample Road. We're told that no one was inside the van, but that the situation is being dealt with at this hour.
Coming up, the feds could be moving into the Boca building. Time now for a check on some of this morning's top stories.
The president preparing to face the nation tonight to lay out his case against Iraq. Mr. Bush is expected to prepare the nation for war in his annual State of the Union address this evening. Mr. Bush, however, is expected to withhold an announcement of an attack.
Defense lawyers say December of 2001.
The Boca Raton building targeted in the 2001 anthrax attacks could soon belong to the federal government. Senator Bill Nelson and Congressman Clay Shaw are trying to get the government to buy the AMI offices and then pay for the cleanup. The government would buy the property for only $1, but will then have to pay between $10 and $100 million to clean up any possible anthrax residue. A photo editor for the Sun Corporation that was at the AMI building died from exposure to anthrax mailed there more than a year ago.
The Today in Florida team putting together another round of news, headed your way in just about 5 minutes or so.
Well, if you're leaving us right now, we hope you make it a great day. That's going to wrap up this half hour of news. I'm Brian Andrews.
I'm Delane Matthews. We'll see you in 2 minutes with another round of news.
From the news station, this is Today in Florida.
Cruise ship searched at South Florida ports. Federal agents finding cold hard cash and plenty of cocaine.
A mother accused of a...
And a developing story just into the Newsplex this morning. They're going to be shutting down State Road 836 at 107 Avenue in West Dade because of a very serious motorcycle accident. Good morning, I'm Brian Andrews.
Hi everyone, I'm Christine Cruz. We'll get to all those stories in just a moment, right after check on the forecast.
Here's Jackie Johnson in the Weather Center. Jackie.
Well, Brian...
If you're just starting your day, here's what's in the news right now. President Bush is preparing for his State of the Union address tonight. It will brace Americans for the possibility of war and focus on domestic issues, including tax cuts, drug treatment money for church groups, and prescription drug coverage for the elderly. 7 News reporter Charles Belay will have live coverage from Capitol Hill beginning tonight on 7 News First at 5. More fighting breaking out in Afghanistan today. Hundreds of American troops are involved in a major battle against rebels discovered in a mountain hideout near Bagram. No American casualties have been reported so far. It is Decision Day in Israel. Security very tight across the area as citizens head out to the polls. Prime Minister Ariel Sharon's Likud party appears headed for a convincing victory. And back here in South Florida, Broward Supervisor of Elections Miriam Oliphant is set to address some major elections concerns before the commission. She's expected before the commission meeting later today. Oliphant plans to ask for about $200,000 more for her budget. She also plans to give commissioners a report explaining what budget controls she's putting in place and how she plans to trim her budget. Flames burning dangerously close to a South Florida landmark. The blaze breaking out near Metro Zoo along Southwest 129th Avenue in Southwest Miami-Dade. According to the fire crews out there, heavy winds made it very difficult for them to put this fire out. Firefighters finally gained the upper hand on this blaze about 11 o'clock last night. The American Red Cross opening a service shelter for the victims of a Miami Beach fire. The center located at the Ramada Inn on Collins Avenue. Caseworkers reviewing applications for financial aid to cover the cost of closing, essential furniture, and household items. It was just last week when a massive blaze ripped through the apartment building along 15th Street on the beach. Investigators believe some type of device may have accidentally sparked this fire. A Miami mother out of jail this morning just one day after police say they found her 2 young children alone, abandoned, and abused. 7's Richard Lemus has the latest. Brace yourselves, the Idol wannabes are back at it. Just ahead on Today in Florida, contestants ready for another round of belting out their favorite tunes. The question is, are the judges ready? It's that time again, the day you've all been looking forward to, waiting and watching to see what will be Simon's next move.
Yeah, tonight we check out the talent in Nashville and Atlanta.
Just ahead from the news station this morning, Broward County crews working with water samples, testing for some potential water trouble.
An endangered species, U.S.
It is one of our top stories at this hour. The Broward Sheriff's Office teaming up with the DEA and Customs, grabbing more than $6 million worth of cocaine in this latest bust. The findings are part of an international operation called Operation Ship to Shore.
This time.
A second survey of manatees this month, producing the second highest count of the mammals in Florida waters since the count started in 1991. Florida's Fish and Wildlife Commission saying the number counted last week was just below the record number in 2001. Workers say favorable conditions, including cooler water temperatures and sunny, windless days, helped to boost the number of manatees over previous years.